Also, please note that a week from Monday, our directory pictures start. And as you see in your bulletin, there is a website that you can go to if you are computer inclined. And you can just type right there and the calendar will pop up and you can see all the dates and times that are available and just fill in your blank. And I just want to tell you, just come join me, jump on in. The odds are that I'm not going to have lost the 15 pounds that I was hoping to before I get my picture taken. Let's just go ahead, let's just do it. Get in the directory. And that starts next Monday, pictures. See Angie.
I'll be out here too.
Okay.
If you're not computer inclined.
Computer inclined, yep. And then please note about Kaleidoscope. Wonderful opportunity for our 6th through 8th graders at Camp Don Lee. You'll see the information there. If anybody's interested in going, we really want to make that happen for our middle schoolers. Are there any other announcements that need to be made at this time? Lauren has an announcement to share.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, I don't think it's on the actual calendar yet, but on Palm Sunday, Chris and I want to do something a little different than the usual, like Easter egg hunt, because that goes so fast, and then it's over, and then you haven't really talked a whole lot about the Bible. So, what we're hoping to do is a journey through the Holy Week up to Easter. So it'll be like, we would invite kids and a family, and this would be something that the young kids would participate in, and the older teens, so the youth, so Chris is on board with this. And so they would have different stations set up in different rooms that you would walk through, and you'd start at the beginning with Palm Sunday, and then you walk through, you know, like the praying in the Garden of Gethsemane and the invitation to the Lord's Supper, and then you walk through the Good Friday, and then into the resurrection. So what I'm looking for is that's a lot, and Lauren can't multiply into different people. So I need help. And Chris is also, you know, the youth are going to participate, so we don't want to take them and have them teach things. We want to have them be learning things too this time. So we need adults who are willing to kind of take on a station. I'm working on content and activities and things, so you wouldn't be starting from scratch or anything like that. And so then you'd be able to interact with kids and their adults, their parents or guardians, and teach them something about Holy Week, about Jesus' walk to the cross, and about the beauty of the resurrection. So if you feel like you'd be inclined to take on, just for this one day, you know, part of the Holy Week story, and help me with that, so that we can teach our children and our teens a little bit more about just the importance of this moment for our church and for our faith. Thanks. So you can just see me and let me know, or email me, or call me, or something like that. Palm Sunday. Numbers don't stick in my head.
Thank you. Thank you, Lauren. And also, I forgot to mention 2 things. One is at 1:30 today. Any who are interested in going to the district meeting to hear kind of a synopsis and debriefing concerning the general conference that took place last week, that meeting is taking place at Centenary United Methodist Church in New Bern, and so those of us who are interested in going will be leaving here, the church parking lot at 1:30. It starts at 3 at Centenary, but I'm sure it's going to be a full house, so anybody who's interested in going will be leaving here at 1:30. And also, I I just want to thank you all for your prayers and support and hard work. The ushers, the folks who are taking care of the kitchen. We have had a lot of folks to take care of lately over the past few months as we have witnessed many homegoings of family and friends. So I just wanted to thank you because I was, just realizing the ushers and the kitchen staff and everybody who makes this church a blessing to walk into and worship in. It takes a lot, and I just really wanted to say personally thank you, and I thank God for you. So let us now prepare our hearts and minds for the worship of God. We come seeking the holy love of God. As Jesus Christ has shared the life of earth, through Christ we share the life of God. In awe, faith, and thanksgiving, let us rejoice in God's presence and share God's life. In awe, faith, and thanksgiving, let us worship God. And our opening hymn of praise is Come Christian. going to sing number 158.
Moses would always remove the veil when he went to the sacred tent to speak with the Lord. And when he came out, he would tell the people everything the Lord had told him to say. They could see that his face was still shining. So after he had spoken with them, he would put the veil back and leave it on until the next time he went to speak with the Lord. This is God's word for God's people. Thanks be to God. Will you now join me in the opening prayer that is printed in your bulletin? Holy Lord, on the mountain Moses entered your presence. When Moses left the mountain, his face shone with your glory. Being in your presence changed him. This morning we gather to meet you in worship.
we spring forward, and we also have the breakfast at 8 a.m. Yes. So I will look forward to hearing all about that. But I know it'll be a wonderful breakfast, so just remember breakfast next Sunday, and we spring forward.
Well, good morning. We're gonna read a story today. We just heard Miss Rita Joe read about Moses going up onto a mountaintop and coming down and shining with God's glory. His whole face was shining. Isn't that interesting? Has your face ever shone? Has it ever been shining? Well, this time we're going to read a story about the disciples, Jesus' disciples, who go up onto a mountain with Jesus, and something interesting happens. Can you see the pictures, Jackson? Look, tell me about the picture. What do you see? What's happening? What's happening in the picture? This story is coming from the Children of God Storybook Bible, and each story has different artists who have done the picture, so they all look a little different. And this one seems to have a lot of, maybe like it reminds me of kind of like sunrise or sunset, when things look a little purple and pink. Yeah. We have the different men. I think these might be the disciples sitting here. And then we have, one of them is probably Moses, and one is Elijah. Yeah, so here's the story, and this comes from the Matthew version. Can I see the words? Thank you. Jesus said to his closest friends, you want to help me? Jesus said to his closest friends, Peter, James, and John, come with me to the mountaintop to pray. So Peter, James, and John, who followed Jesus, were going to hike up a mountain. Have you ever been hiking? You haven't? Have you been hiking here before, Jackson? Like out in the woods? Yeah? So they went, but they were going up. Went hiking up the mountaintop, up to the mountain. Right? And they were going to pray. Jesus invited them to pray with him. They climbed for hours until their legs ached. Have you ever climbed so much, Jackson, that your legs get tired? Huh? And at last, they were at the top. Jesus' face began shining with a light as bright as the sun. The sun's pretty bright, isn't it, Jackson? We can't even look at it, can we? It's so bright. They said Jesus' face was shining so bright, like the sun. You probably couldn't even look at it. It was so bright. So bright. And his clothes seemed to glow. Have you ever worn clothes that glow? Maybe you have something that glows in the dark? Do you have anything that glows in the dark, Jackson? Yeah, so that even when it's dark, it kind of shines out a little bit? Moses and Elijah, two great leaders who had died long ago, appeared next to Jesus and began to talk with him. And Peter and his friends were stunned. Lord, they said, we are blessed to be here. Let me build houses, and we can stay in this wonderful place forever. Peter thought he was going to build a house and stay up on that mountain. He thought, this is the best place I can be. I'm going to stay up on that mountain. But even as he was speaking, a bright cloud came down and covered them all, and a voice spoke from the cloud. Whose voice do you think it was? We've heard God talk from a cloud before. Yeah. A voice spoke from the cloud and said, this is my son. You need to get some energy out. It's okay. This is my son who fills me with joy. Sometimes that's what we got to do. And I love him. Listen to what he says. God told Peter, James, and John, this is my son, Jesus, whom I love, whom I have chosen. And then he said, listen to him. Is it hard to listen to people? It really is, because we get in our minds, this is how I want to do things, and somebody else says, actually you gotta do it this way, and it's hard to listen, isn't it? Yeah. Is it hard to listen to your teachers sometimes? Yeah. Peter, James, and John covered their heads and threw themselves on the ground. They were feeling kind of afraid, because when God talks to you, I mean, that's pretty serious. And Jesus touched them gently on the shoulder. Like gentle touches? Gently on the shoulder. And when they looked up, the cloud was gone. And it was just Jesus there with them. And, you know, they kind of wanted to stay up there on the mountaintop because, I mean, when you're near to God like that, it feels pretty good inside. But Jesus said, we can't stay on this mountaintop. We have to return down to the bottom, down to where we started, so that God's children can learn about us. So that God's children need us. So the prayer that's here, it says, Dear God, help me to share your glory with others. So we meet God, and then we go out and we share the glory that we've encountered, that we've seen from God with others. Can we pray that together? It's help me to share your glory with others. Ready? Let's say it. Dear God, help me to share your glory with others.